The grass season in tennis feels like it's over even before it begins. It never truly reaches the heights that it really deserves. In this video, I'll be laying out why Wimbledon needs a Masters 1000 before the tournament. I will start by laying out the current grass season and the schedule that we have now. I will then dive into how I would change it, adjusting these tournaments. And finally, we'll wrap up with how this benefits the sport of tennis going forward. My name is Drew Wygan, and welcome to the Touch of Class show. The current grass season runs a little like this. From June 8th to June 14th, we have the Stuttgart Boss Open and the Den Bosch Libem Open. From June 15th to June 21st, we have the Queen's Club Championships and the Halle Open in Germany. June 21st to June 27th, we have the Mallorca Open and the Eastbourne Open in the UK. Then we have the culmination of it all with the Wimbledon Grand Slam beginning on Monday, June 29th and ending July 12th, a nice Sunday afternoon with the men's singles title. This season is lasting just a month and 4 days. When we look at the calendar as a whole, and we look at these other swings, the hard court swing and the clay swing, we see them lasting for roughly 2 months. These players are able to adapt to the surface, to perfect their game. Naturally, you have players that dominate on grass, like your Carlos Alcaraz, but for people to become true grass specialists, they need to be playing on this surface. Let's now go into the changes that I personally would make. I would start by moving Wimbledon back 2 weeks. The new start date of Wimbledon would be July 6th, and it would wrap up July 19th. Now, in the UK, the summers don't get that hot, so the heat should have nothing to do with this, and the players should have nothing to worry about, especially after playing in Australia in 100-degree plus heat. Now, in doing that, you also need to open up time for a Masters 1000, because why is there no Masters 1000 on grass? It's the only surface that doesn't have one. Let's make room for one in the schedule. For this Masters 1000, the perfect place to do it is Queen's Club in England. There are 28 courts, which is an exceeding amount of number needed for a Masters 1000 tournament. Other Masters 1000, like the Madrid Open, the Rome Open, even the Monaco Open, have a significantly less number of courts. So there's no issue there. And you just modify these dates of the other tournaments and things start to flow naturally. You bring back the Nottingham Open as a 250 event as well, adding just another ATP event for people to really get in this grass swing. Let's now take a look at the new dates. The grass swing will start on June 8th, as it does this year. It will begin with the Stuttgart Open, the Den Bosch Open, and the Nottingham Open. The new tournament added, a tournament that used to be on the calendar and no longer is. I'm also going to elevate the Stuttgart Open from an ATP 250 to an ATP 500. That way, more players get a chance to enter these tournaments and get practice on this surface. We then look forward to the next week, June 17th to June 28th. This 2-week stretch is the Masters 1000 at Queen's Club. I've already discussed that there are ample courts for these players to play on, but there's also so much history behind Queen's Club. It deserves a Masters 1000. It deserves to be in the spotlight more than just an ATP 500. This tournament is enriched in tennis history. Just take a look at this retro photo of these courts and how beautiful it looked back then. We then move on to June 29th, which is supposed to be the starting date for Wimbledon this year. However, going forward, this would be another week of ATP 250s in the ATP 500, that is, the Halle Open in Germany. The Mallorca Open and the Eastbourne Open would also be taking place as usual, just pushed back roughly a week or so. Finally, the culmination of the grass swing, obviously we have the Wimbledon Grand Slam, which, as I said, starts on July 6th now and runs until the 19th, setting it up perfectly for that nice extra 2 weeks, making it roughly a month and a half long grass season. Now, you may be wondering about the tournaments that will be affected by this, and that is a completely fair thing to bring up. You have the Bastad Open in Sweden, the Umag Open in Croatia, These two opens would be moved to the same weekends as the Kitzbühel and the Estoril Opens on July 20th to the 26th. I know it's a bit unfair to move these tournaments as they are historic and storied tournaments in their respective countries. However, these tournaments are on clay, and the clay swing has already ended. The grass swing has ended. So these tournaments aren't the most important for players to play, and we usually see the likes of these larger name players skipping these tournaments for a summer holiday anyways. Now we're left with just the Stade Open. And while Switzerland already has the Geneva Open, I think you just morph the Stade Open into a challenger event. It would be such an exciting tournament for these younger tennis prospects to play in with the beautiful views that are in Stade, Switzerland, and it would allow for the schedule to operate smoothly. Now let's move into why this would benefit the sport. The quality of Wimbledon would drastically improve. Right now, these players only get to play maybe 2 tournaments on grass before they're thrown into a Grand Slam. We would see better players going deeper into the tournament. We would see other players not opting out of Wimbledon like we've seen of top 25 players in the past year or so. These players don't treat grass as an official surface because they don't spend enough time on it. Yes, obviously the great players overcome and adapt, but wouldn't it be nice if everyone had the opportunity to become a specialist on this surface? The players say it themselves. Wimbledon is the most sought-after Grand Slam there is. It's the most prestigious. It has the most history. It has the most class. Why would you not want to play extra tournaments leading up to it to give yourself the best shot at winning it? Grass is also the original surface of tennis. I mean, 3 out of the 4 majors used to be played on grass. The US Open up until 1978 was played on grass. The Australian Open up until 1987 was also played on grass until both of those tournaments switched to hard courts. Tennis culture is embedded in grass. It's the original surface of the sport. Why would we not want to embrace that? Embrace what the sport is all about. Playing on this fast-paced surface that provides so many highlight reels time and time again. Seeing players dive for the ball, seeing players hit these incredible tweeners because they're forced to. The Wimbledon produces some of the most electrifying shots that we see on tour throughout the year. Grass as a surface in tennis does not get the respect that it deserves. That's why the current format just doesn't work and it needs updates. That's why it will provide a better tennis experience. And that's why Wimbledon needs a Masters 1000 tournament leading up to it on grass. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I have plenty more tennis and Premier League content coming your way. Leave a comment down below what you think. Do you think the grass season should be extended, or do you think it's in a good spot right now? Does it make sense to have clay tournaments after the grass and clay seasons have both ended? And what would you do if you were given the opportunity to change the current format? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.